As we work through the exercises in this training course, we need to learn how to save our images in order to maintain flexibility, especially when we start working with layers. So the first thing that I want to do is choose Photoshop and Preferences, and then File Handling. On Windows, you'd go into the Edit menu, Preferences, and then File Handling. And I want to change the Maximize PSD and PSB file compatibility to Always. Although this preference is going to increase the file size, it's going to allow me to work with and view images faster and more easily across applications such as Bridge and Lightroom. Now let's make a quick change to our image. I'm going to add what's called a new fill layer. I'm going to add a gradient fill layer. I'm going to change the blend mode to color. Now, I know we haven't talked about layers and we haven't really talked about blend modes yet, but I just want to make sure that we do something to this image to give us a second layer. So I'll click OK. And then to the right of the gradient here is a drop-down menu. I'll click on the arrow, and then we can navigate through any of these folders of presets and just click on one of them to apply that preset. All right, let's say that these are all of the changes that we want to make. Well, when I'm ready to save this, I'll choose File and then Save As. I'll want to save it locally to my computer, so I'll click that. And I'm going to save it back into the same folder, but I'm going to rename it. Now, I try to keep my image management very simple, so I use a simple naming convention. I'm going to add an underscore and then ME. That just tells me that this is my master edited file. And then we'll want to select from, say, either Photoshop or the TIFF file format in order to save our layers. I'll go ahead and click Save, and then let's just make a quick change to the image. I'll double click on the icon for the gradient, and we'll just pick another gradient from those presets. So I'll click on the drop-down menu, and we can scroll down to any of these different preset folders, and maybe just pick this one here. Now, if I want to save this version as well, but I don't want to save over the one that had the purple gradient, I can choose File and then Save As again. I'll save it to my computer. And because I haven't changed anything like drastically, I haven't resized the file, I haven't added type to the file or anything, it's very similar to the first one. I'm just going to add an underscore and then 01. I often see people adding like a finish or done or final after it. But what happens is that then if you're going to make another change, then it gets confusing as to which image is really the final image. So I just sequence it. If I make another change and I want to save as, I'll just do 02 and then 03. All right, so for now, I'll save this. And one more example, let's say I want to resize this image for posting online. I'll use Image and then Image Size. I'm going to resample the image, but I want to change this to pixels. And let's say I just want this to be 800 pixels wide. I'll click OK. That will resize the image for me. And then I'll do a File and then Save As. But because I'm posting it online, well, I still want to save it on my computer locally, but I want to save it as a different file format, in this case, JPEG. And again, I might want to append this so that it tells me more about the image. For example, I might add 800 px for pixels. When I click Save, I can pick the image options for quality. I'll go ahead and bring that down to 10 and click OK. But what's important to know is that Photoshop has resized the file, but it's left open the multi-layered document and saved off that JPEG version. So I'd want to be careful at this point. When I close this file, I don't want to save changes. Otherwise, it will save it as the resized 800 pixel document. So I'll choose File and then Close and Don't Save. If we return to Bridge, we can see here's our original image. Here's the one that we first saved as our master edited PSD file. Then we made a variance. That's our master edited 01. And we've got our master edited 01 800 pixels as a JPEG. So before I wrap up, I typically save all of my edited PSD and TIFF files back to the same folder as the original. However, there might be times when you want to save all of your edited files to a separate folder. It just depends on the project. But if you do want to save all of your images back to a specific folder, return to Photoshop and choose Preferences, again, File Handling, and we can uncheck the option to save as to the original folder. And this way, if you save to a different folder, like a processed folder, every time you do a save as, it'll default to that folder. For now, I'll enable to save as to the original folder so that I can continually save the exercise files back to their original folders.